So welcome everyone to today's Saturday at 8 dialogue session. And today, sometimes I offer a theme for the sessions. At times, it's just totally an open dialogue without any particular theme. And today, I thought, since we are all the time in relationships, learning through them, making our mistakes and errors there, learning through our so-called mistakes and errors, wanting them to be in a certain way and yet finding that we really cannot do much about it. And how to see it, because relationships can be seen from various angles, but there are a few common points of, one can say, the crux of the matter, if one can say. So I was able to see that there is one thing which is absolutely common in all relationships, which we will come to, I believe, towards the end of the session. And then I thought, okay, let's explore what relationships are about, and what they make us do, what kind of learning happens through relationships. And also, if we could one by one share, what is a relationship when the word relationship comes in front of you? What do we mean by a relationship? Is it only between human to human, or is it extendable to animals and human, and then even to non-living objects? Is it? Uh, so how do you see relationships? So let us first, it would be really interesting to see how we, at the moment in our present understanding, how we see relationships. What is the definition, if one can say? Again, when I'm saying definition, it feels a bit limiting, because when you go deeper into anything at all, you see that it's not defined. You can just make it, expand it more and more. And yet we start by defining. Yeah. So let us not stick to those definitions, but let us share, if I can say, let us share our own understanding of what do I mean by relationship. Yeah. So one by one, if you could just unmute and begin to share. If you're comfortable, open your video. If you're not comfortable, that's okay. So one by one, let's share on our present understanding of what do I mean by relationship, and why am I here today? If you could shed light on that. Yeah. So there are no rights and wrongs here. We are just exploring something which is very crucial to our existence. Feel free to start from anywhere. Yeah. Even if you hesitate a bit, go through the hesitation and share whatever is your present view on relationships. Yes, Mohita, no need to raise hand, just unmute and share, please. Yeah.
Sure. So I feel relationship is a beautiful way of, in a way to know ourselves better, like be it like our parents, friends, siblings. These are like opportunities given by divine to make us understand who we are, and all the set of challenges or say some kind of shortcomings face that we face is because it kind of gives us that perspective to know ourselves better and also them. And it also gives us this beautiful understanding about receiving and giving, because it's all about balance, right? A lot of times relationships can also drain you when they are just one sided. If they are like, if there's an equal give and take, then it becomes really beautiful. So I think relationships is a great way to explore ourselves and know ourselves better.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, Mohita.
Thank you.
Anyone else who want to share? So we, at the moment, we are just sharing our present understanding of what do I mean, what does a relationship mean to me, in a little or a wider perspective. So one by one, just unmute and keep sharing. So it cannot be that we have no idea about relationship. We are all the time drenched in it. Yeah. It cannot be that we have no idea. All of us have been through it, go through it, even now, continuously. Life is relationship. What else is life? So share whatever is coming to you, and whatever is coming to you right now would be the best to kind of share it out. Yes, Aspriya.
Yeah, I think I mean a lot of us, have come to not only this forum but any other, exploration to do with self or to do with life from this perspective to start with. Of course, the journey has been, I would say, it is not linear. It is, it is absolutely expanding in multiple ways. And I think a lot of people start from this, even relationship with self, probably relationship with others, relationship with the world in general, the current trend, everything. I think we start there. And then I think everything, the life itself for me is relationship. The fact that, I mean, there is no life for me without relationship. I would say that is how I see it. Like, and for that reason, I think it is very dynamic. There is nothing beyond relationship. That's why I think we all, I at least, I started from a very self exploration point of view, and then today I have reached a stage where I feel community is what really makes a person thrive, in a more holistic manner. I think that's about my current understanding of relationship.
Thank you, Aspriya. Yes. So Shweta is sharing relationship is the essence of life. Everything we perceive is in relation with our immediate and extended environment. Yeah. Yeah. So we are just sharing our present understanding, reflection on relationship. Anyone who wants to share next, please unmute and share. Okay, so in case you don't want to share right now, that's okay. Let's keep ourselves free, in the sense fluid, that whenever you feel like sharing, you share. Yeah, you can unmute or share, or you chat in the chat window, you can share. No, why do we have to use the word relationship? Because on one hand we say everything is one. Everything is one. So there is one Brahman, and from one Brahman, everything from one comes many. Yeah? And this, all the many are the manifestations of that one. Now imagine that you have a lump of clay. Now the lump of clay is one. Yeah, there is no need of relationship in that lump of clay. But when I make utensils or things or crafts out of those lump of clay, so I make separate pieces. Now why I call them separate? Because each of them is in space and time, they are separate, like individuals, and that's what we are. So although we may be one in essence, which we can't see, that essence is not really, it's not a tangible essence, uh, and yet we see ourselves in forms, we are separate. Like clay ke different bartan hai, like maybe I make a katora out of a clay, and then I make a matka out of a clay, then I make a glass out of clay. Now between these, I can say there is a relationship. or there is a relationship between the potter and the clay, or the clay and the utensils. So the very fact that I have to use the word relationship tells about there is a separation at a certain level. So when we come to manifestation, this world of manifestation, the world of creation, there is a separation at the level of forms. So I am in a relationship with my laptop, for example. Right now I'm using the laptop. I think Shweta was saying everything is relationship. Aspriya was pointing at it. So I am right now in relationship with the chair I am sitting on, with the laptop I am using, with the lamp I am using, with this room. Everything is, as Aspriya was using the word dynamic, it's a dynamic relationship every moment of our life. But most of the time, we are lost in the grosser relationship. We think that only human to human, there is a relationship. Only falling in love, romantic partnership, that is the relationship. Although that is also a part of it, major part of it. And we will come to that hopefully, today again later. But everything is in relationship with us at every moment of time. I am in relationship with the breath that I'm taking right now. But am I aware of it? I'm hardly aware of it. So first of all, I think the first thing is to notice or to become aware of, more sensitive, aware or more sensitive of that we are all the time in relationship with each and every aspect of life. Yeah? We are in relationship with our own self, because there is a distinction between the higher self and the outer self. Yeah. So when this distinction is there right now, that this has not been bridged, my outer self is in certain relationship with the higher self. What we call the inner guiding light, or when the deeper spaces that we touch in meditation, for example, or when we sit in silent contemplation. Yeah. So we enter into a relationship with ourselves. Since the outer being is something separate, the ego consciousness is something separate than the higher or the inner voice. Yeah. So first, let us notice the utility of relationship in the world of forms, in the world of separation, in the world of ignorance right now, which is a reality for us. Yeah. Yeah. So I think let us start from there, and then moving on to especially our human relationships. First of all, through relationships, we would all agree, I would say, that we are all learning all the time. If we stop learning, we stagnate, we rot inside our being. Something doesn't feel right. You feel depressive when you stop learning. Why? Because learning is our true nature. Little children, they're learning all the time. They're happy, joyous all the time. They're learning from their surroundings, learning from their parents, learning from whatever space is provided to them. All these 5 senses, the doors of senses are open to them. They're learning through them. Yeah. So every time learning is happening. And relationships are a very important medium of our learning. Although we make many blunders in our relationships, so-called seeming mistakes, I should not have done that, I should have maybe behaved better, or what we may realize in retrospect. But we can't help it, because we are learning, and once we are learning, we are ought to fall, we are ought to make mistakes. Without mistakes, no one learns. Even those of us who have learned swimming, for example. So how do we learn swimming? We many a times inhale or get water into our lungs, choke ourselves, so that we know how not to jump in the swimming pool. So I think this is very important for each one of us to recognize, first of all, the importance of relationships and how we learn through it. Let us talk about it if you have any reflections. And also the importance of the so-called blunders that we make, the mistakes that we make. Many a times we can't help it. We can't help it. It's only in retrospect that we may realize that I should have done better, but we couldn't do better. So can we just not be so harsh on ourselves, notice the error, notice whatever needed to be corrected, and move on. So this moving on, learning like a warrior through our mistakes, forgiving our own self again and again. Again, this reflects on what kind of a relationship have I with myself. That am I too harsh on me, or am I able to just let go of the mistakes I do? Because that will reflect what kind of a relationship I have with other people or non-people or animals or the whole of existence. So if I am harsh on myself, I cannot be sensitive to others. I think it goes just so parallelly, if you would have noticed. The moment I become a bit sensitive to myself, I see the same sensitivity I can extend to the others or the non-living and living beings around me. Yeah. Even objects, if you talk about handling objects, it cannot be that I am learning to grow more sensitive to my own self, and yet I am harsh in my handling of objects. It cannot be, because everything I'll do will have a certain bit of sensitivity, whatever is the present state of sensitivity right now, because it can grow further deeper, more and more. Yeah, so anything at this point, I'll keep on pausing in between, because once I go, I just kind of keep on talking. So please share if anything is coming to you at this moment. Okay, so I'll just go ahead in that case. Now I would like to jump on to relationships between humans. I think that's our area of struggle also, where we crave to find a deeper harmony, because mostly those of us who are here today, we live in relationship with people around us, whether it's a milkman or maybe a help coming to my home, my children, my people I talk to on phone, my intimate relationships, my own self. We are all the time there. And most of the time I have a feeling, again please open to reflections, I have a feeling that many a times, even not wantingly, you have a sense of fusing with the other person, especially in intimate relationships. Now even a relationship with a child can be very intimate. Yeah, because especially for mothers, because even for fathers, because they are like as if they're part of you and roaming outside. Yeah. Many of us have a very intimate fusing of self with the parents, grandparents, or whoever you have a deep connection with. What happens is this intimate fusing of self happens. Now, if you have noticed that in those relationships where this fusing of self happens, as if the aura gets mixed, you become one in the aura also. There, when we part ways with each other, you see this pain happening. So although on the outside it's okay, you were two individuals who came together, lived for some time, and now the individuals are far away. But in the subtle world, if you notice, something is giving you pain. Now, what is that something that is giving you pain? Because on the outside, I can't see myself joined. What is it that got joined? And we are not just these outer bodily forms. We are more than the bodily forms. So those of us, those people who have known the subtle realms, who understand the subtle bodies that we have, the aura, the subtle physical, the mental form, the what in Hindi we call the pranamay kosh, the annamay kosh, the manomay kosh. So all these are our subtle bodies. Now, when we stay together and have a lot of emotional and mental exchange in relationships, a fusing of self happens. That's what we call fusing of auras. And that's why it's very, very hard in those of us who have been in so-called romantic relationships to part ways is very hard. So although you have difficulty living together also, yeah, and it's not that you have a beautiful harmony when you're living together, but when you're parting ways, as if there is a lot of intense bleeding or wounding that you have to go through. You're not able to be with yourself anymore. You're so used to be with the other person. Yeah. So this is what happens owing to the fact that the aura fuses. And that's why when we part, it takes a long, long time to heal that aura again, to become whole in my own self now. So earlier I felt one with the other person. This was beautiful, yeah. Although it has its own challenges, depending on what kind of a relationship it is. But whenever we part ways, there is always a pain that comes, because now you have forgotten almost to see yourself as the whole. And that's why the point that I wanted to share here was that it almost gives us a sense of lack, that as if something is missing in me, something is not right, something is not whole. And it takes a while when I become whole without the need of deeply engaging with anyone, mentally, emotionally. And once I become whole, once I heal that aura, which has now become fused with the other person or persons, then you feel a sense of wholeness, a certain okayness with yourself, that I'm okay being with myself. And now one can go again and kind of, if one wants to, explore relationships at that intimate level. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to kind of point at, that this sense of lack that comes in relationships, that as if I'm incomplete with other person or persons. I think that is the point of exploration, and also a point of self-discovery, because we cannot be all the time with people. First, this. Secondly, even if I am all the time with people, they will not be listening to my demands and expectations. They have their own journey. So whatever the life situation is, or whatever the other person is behaving, it will always almost, never be according to what I want the situation to be. And this is something all of us face, that you want your parent or sibling or your mate to behave in a certain way, but he has his own life, he doesn't. And that leaves us with a sense of kind of a lack, a deficit, that as if this does not happen, I am incomplete. Only when this happens, I will feel a bit better. So this sense of lack, sense of deficit. Now this deficit, although it is very painful, it's full of struggle, wounding and bleeding. And yet this is the very deficit which can take us to a path of self-discovery. So in my pain, in my struggle, I almost embark upon the self-discovery path or becoming whole without the need of other people. In the beginning, it may become as if I'm excluding everything else, and this is an inner journey, but it can never be an only inner journey. It's always, you always get help from here and there. So we are always in relationship, even when the discovery is going on. Yeah. And slowly on the path of discovery, we kind of keep on opening ourselves to this pain, the struggle of life. And we see that there is hardly anything that will always be in your control, apart from the attitude I take on this path. And the moment I, from a sense of, oh my God, everything is happening so wrong, in relationships or wherever we are, to the moment I just kind of bring a lot of saying, I'm okay with the not okayness. Yeah, I would have wanted things different way, but that's not how it is right now. So can I look at this, whatever is right now, as if it's a mystery wanting to tell me something, but I don't know what it's wanting to tell me. So a kind of a new shift has happened immediately. Something has shifted inside my consciousness. Earlier, I was operating from, oh my God, when will things get better? When will things get better? This makes me restless. I'm just exaggerating actually. It can be at a various degree. You can be very calm about it and yet thinking that when will things go better? When will these things change? When will these people around me change? When will the situation change? Yeah. So it can be happening at a very subtle level, very lowly level, or it can be happening at a very exaggerated level also, that you're restless about things turning better, according to you better. But the moment I shift my attention, I'm suffering, I'm struggling through a relationship, I'm not exactly finding harmony in that relationship or relationships. It is not going the way I would like it to go. Yeah. And suddenly a shift happens where I say, oh my God, maybe this is what I need to be with right now. Maybe I need to hold this pain. Maybe I need to hold this restlessness inside me. And there is nothing wrong with the pain or the restlessness or anything. Maybe I need to just be here right now with all the not okayness that is there. Because it has something for me. I may not know now, I may know later. Now, when this or something like this may happen, even now, if we practically, you kind of almost meditatively see this happening in your life, I think something transforms immediately. You become, you almost, it's like a, as if it's like a shower of grace on you. But I was looking for grace, but I had my images about grace, that this is how grace should happen in my life. And right now, the grace that is happening in my life, as if I'm not available to it. So the moment I become okay with whatever situation is presented to me by life right now and learn my lessons through it, I think something really remarkable happens. You, first of all, you reclaim your power back immediately, as if the whole Shakti, the whole power that you were giving away to people and situations, as if it comes rushing back to you.
Ma'am, is it also somewhere down the line about surrendering completely? Like when you say that when situations, I'm really thankful for the way you put it, that when you like just be okay with whatever the situation is in your life and just accept it wholeheartedly. So somewhere on the line, do we also see that let's completely surrender to whatever is happening? I mean, and not have any kind of preferences.
Yes. So the other word that you used, surrender, I would say yes, in the line of surrender only, because surrender also has been misused a lot.
Yeah.
So we say that I am now in complete surrender. We can never be in complete surrender. So that's why I sparingly use the word surrender. But the other thing that you use, that is very important, having not any liking or preference. I think this is really a catch. It's a beautiful observation that you put it forward. Not having preference and liking. And I realize that whenever I am in struggle or pain or suffering, if I notice carefully, I always have a preference or a liking.
Yeah.
And it's not happening the way it should happen.
Yeah, it's like we have so much OCD that it should have, this is my plan, it should have happened this way only.
Yes, yes, yes. So the moment I say, okay, I had a plan, I had my wishes, I had images of things that this is how it should turn out and would be really beautiful, but the existence had some other plan.
Hmm.
So can I for a moment, and this moment is every moment, can I for a moment see the beauty of right now the plan also, which is provided by the existence in front of me? What is the beauty in this plan? So that's what, I think that what you shared is really beautiful, keeping aside my likes and preferences.
Hmm.
Like they may be there, but can I keep them in the pocket for some time?
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you for putting it
Thank
out. Yeah. And in that moment, in any moment when I'm able to see this blossoming happening, you would see that you are just completely here in the now, as if all the power that you were giving to the past and the future and what should happen, what did not happen, all the power rushes back to the present.
It also makes you a little bit fearless, initially.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like when you say that when we lose someone, it's like your identity, your aura is so much fused. But I mean, there are occasions or instances when you feel all the more fearless about, like, this duality. On one hand, you are scared that they are no more. On the other hand, you're equally fearless that, okay, we'll just figure this out.
Beautiful. Because I think it's also because we see that now the most precious one of the most precious one has been lost, and I'm still alive.
Yeah.
So I can go through it.
It's like you couldn't, for the longest time, you feel that you wouldn't be able to survive their loss.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then you see yourself going through the same. So it's like, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the mother says something really beautiful, that we should, although we can't help but worry at times, she says we should not worry about things, because most of the time what we are worrying about does not happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the mind has just a capacity of just over exaggerating things.
That's
and
true.
and what you are sharing is that it's okay, I can go through it, even if it's a falling off of a romantic kind of a relationship, falling off of any relationship, which really kind of this pulls us apart, like we bleed, we get wounded in that falling apart. We see that we are still alive, we are still kicking and breathing. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And this sense of fearlessness that you were sharing, although it may come to us in moments, bits and pieces, but this sense of fearlessness is the sign of the soul taking the charge, like your inner being coming forward, because that's the only thing in us which is fearless, because that knows that can never be born, that can never die, and hence there is no fear. So whenever we notice this glimpses of fearlessness, that okay, I will go through this also, that is definitely coming from the inner being, which is the immortal aspect of our human existence.
That's a beautiful one. I was not aware about it because it's not constant. It's like for a second you feel that, okay, we'll just figure this out. It's not a big deal. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, it feels very relieving at that, during those moments. You feel you're not helpless at all. I mean, there's lots of power that yourself has.
Absolutely, absolutely. And why it comes in glimpses? Only because most of the time we live in the separate self or the ego consciousness, and the ego consciousness is full of fear. So it's like, जो बादल छटते हैं एकदम से, sky is out, so it's almost like that. The most of the time the mind is clouded, the emotions are clouded with the all that I can lose, and all that I can be afraid of, all the worries and anxieties. And in those little moments where you feel that, okay, I have nothing to lose, I've lost the most precious one now, so in that moment you become silent, and as if the haze disappears and the blue sky of your being comes forward. So that fearlessness is one aspect of it. Yeah, anyone else?
Thank you so much for explaining it, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing also, Momita. I think many a times we also give too much of importance owing to the fact the way we live, uh, that I would not be able to live without this. I would not be able to live without this relationship. Oh, this is very precious to me. I cannot live without it. I think this is all, if we see, it's just over exaggeration by the mind. And if we really look factually, uh, even losing the most precious of our relationships, although no matter how much it breaks us, we still go through it. There is something in us which is still whole, although that fusing of the self happens and the bleeding happens in the aura, and we have to go through that pain and struggle, obviously, but something in us is still whole, can go through everything. So it seems that everything that we may consider precious in life is almost dispensable. Everything is dispensable. Nothing is indispensable. And that again brings us back to a lot of power, and like it's almost like reclaiming our power, because we keep on giving power to each and every place wherever we have a liking, preference, or expectation. We give our power away. Imagine that you have a potly full of power, and you kind of keep on spilling it around. अच्छा, इधर से कुछ चाहिए तो वहां पे थोड़ी सी पावर दे दी. अच्छा, उस रिलेशनशिप से कुछ चाहिए तो यहाँ पे पावर दे दी. अच्छा, यहाँ से कोई डिमांड है फ्यूचर में तो यहाँ पे थोड़ी सी दे दी. अच्छा, मेरी बॉडी से कोई डिमांड है तो बॉडी, यू लूज योर पावर देयर. So wherever I put my expectations and demands, likings and preferences, as if I keep on spilling out my power away. And the moment I keep aside those likes and preferences for a while, if not completely giving them away for a while, I see that, hey, I'm okay. This thing is telling me something. This thing is making me grow stronger. This, whatever is happening, breaking, shattering, whatever difficulty I'm going through right now, it is giving me something. So can I just listen to the message? Can I just be here in the now? And this putting aside of likes and preferences, this is the most crucial step if we want our soul to come forward, if we want our inner being to take charge of the being and not the ego to run this life. Yeah, because from the soul's perspective, there are no preferences, since it is one with the whole existence. The preferences only comes from the ego point of view. And ego is very narrow, very limited, very defined. Yeah. So although I have to grow in individuality, I have to know my weaknesses, know my strengths, grow, nurture them, slowly. I have to grow in individuality. Yet I also have to see that the more I focus on my likings, preferences, this should happen. Oh my God, how could this happen? The more I delve there, first of all, the more power I lose. And secondly, the more I deflect myself away from the inner guidance. As if a haze comes, and with that haze, I'm not able to see clearly. So when I put my preferences and likings aside, they may be there. I put them aside. I'm open to learning now. I'm open to exploring. There, something new, some beautiful unfolding of life can happen. And all of us want something new in life, don't we? All of us love to have something new, adventurous happening in life. But are we open to it? And only when I keep these comfort zones, likings, preferences aside, only then I become open to it. Progress does come at a cost. Progress does not come easy. I'm talking of spiritual progress, your individuality, true individuality growing, it does not come at a very easy cost, that you remain in your comfort zone the way you are and you are progressing also. Then the progress is extremely slow, so almost a snail's pace. But when I openly, actively want to progress on this path, really want to bring my true individuality out, there I will have to put my likings, preferences, and comfort zones aside. Only then I can allow myself to go through that discomfort, which comes whenever you want something, you are doing something new. Whenever you are doing something new, a discomfort has to be there. If I'm riding the bike for a first time, a discomfort happens. I'm not really feeling easy. If I'm going to an office, a new kind of an office for the first time, discomfort comes. I'm not very easy the first day. Yeah. And that discomfort is a very beautiful discomfort, because as if I am growing to something new. It's called auspicious discomfort, one can say. So also to notice, when we are in relationships, when we are trying to understand the other person's point of view, putting my point of view at bay for some time. Because all that we do in relationships is always trying to, mostly what we do is, हम समझाना चाहते हैं कि हम क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं. We rarely want to understand where the other person is coming from. Very rarely, very few people would be open to that kind of opening in relationships. And although many a times it also happens that although we are having a good discussion and thinking that I am open to the other person's point of view, still what I am stressing is my own point of view. माना तुम जो कह रहे हो सही होगा, but जो मैं कह रही हूँ वो ज्यादा सही है. Something like that. So it's very challenging. I find it extremely challenging. It's really not for the, I would say, the faint-hearted, truly to evolve and grow in relationships. Because at every little step, I have to put my comfort zone aside. More empathy there in those relationships. And you also expand as a result, because if I am able to step in the other person's shoes, even for a moment, I expand. Immediately an expansion happens. And that's another way of making the mind supple. Sri Aurobindo and Mother talk about making the mind supple and elastic and plastic, so that it's wide and expansive. I think that is something which can be experimented through in our relationships. To understand where the other person is coming from. Also not really to put yourself as a doormat, but to kind of mutually expand and grow, being in touch with our own inner guidance also at the same time. Because many times it may happen that the other person is saying something, the other person is saying something, and you are now totally confused. So at the same time, I have to also make a balance in order to know what I see, as good and better for each one involved in this relationship. Hit kiska hai sab mein? What is the best for everyone here? Even if I have to put my own agenda aside. So again, very, very challenging. I think it's not really very easy to go through and grow through relationships. Very, very challenging. Yeah, any reflection at the moment? Okay, so I think let's jump on to then fulfillment in relationships. I think that's where I wanted to kind of take us forward towards the end. I have a feeling that we can never be fulfilled in relationships if I am not fulfilled in my own relationship with my own self. And that takes me to almost a spiritual path, because without uniting with my own inner presence, without uniting with my own inner divine or the wholeness that is present in me, it is not possible to have fulfilling relationships. So, and it can also be taken in another sense, that the more lack I get from relationships, the more sense of lack I have from relationships, the more it has the possibility to propel me towards finding my inner self and uniting with it. Because I cannot find fulfillment anywhere outside, depending on any person, any situation, any creature, or any object. Because all that is form will be taken away, will change. Whether it is a person, whether it's a life situation, whether it's an animal, whether it's a job, anything that I depend on for my fulfillment will definitely be taken away. Because life is fleeting, everything changes. If not taken away, it will move apart. So wanting fulfillment through persons, objects, or situations is something which will always give me misery. And if I have gone through enough of misery, maybe at this time I have not gone through enough of misery, I want to go through it. But if I have gone through enough of misery depending on people and situations and relationships to provide me fulfillment, that would never ever happen. So that if I really see it in my life, not really believing what I'm saying, if I actually see it happening in my life, and if I see, yes, oh my God, this would never happen, the first thing it gives me is a sense of hopelessness. Like, okay, I was thinking some beautiful mate will come and we will be together for one. Never happening really. Okay. So for two things can happen. First of all, I go try. Okay, try. After many years of trying, even then, if it doesn't happen, then almost a kind of a hopelessness comes in the being. That wahan bhi nahi milega, wahan bhi nahi milega, wahan bhi nahi milega. Along with this hopelessness, also comes a release into the present moment. As if what Mohita was sharing earlier, you have nothing to lose. Because no one can give you that fulfillment that you are looking for. Hence, I am absolutely free. I don't need to depend on anyone for that fulfillment. In that very realization, almost a release happens, as if all the power that I was giving away to situations, people, and to future, something will happen in future, I have stopped investing there. So all the flux of energy, all that potential of energy is right now available to me fully here and now. I need not invest it anywhere for that fulfillment, since it cannot be given from anywhere. The moment this kind of unfolds in front of me, and it can fold in different ways, infinite number of ways for everyone. I think along with, first of all, a hopelessness from around, also parallelly, it gives me a lot of power back, energy back. That I am the one responsible for this fulfillment. Nothing else can give me fulfillment. So whether fulfillment or lack, I have to be my bestest companion. Yeah. Yes, Mohita.
And I mean, it is such a it's such a beautiful revelation, because like all the time, like you feel that okay, like it's beyond me, fulfillment is beyond me. But then when it hits you that like it's all everything is within. I mean, you don't need something extra to. It just removes so much fluff and so much uh you know extra additions from your life. You are just back to the basic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's how little children are.
Yeah.
They're fully present to the moments,
Mm.
learning through them, growing through them. It's only when conditioning happens that they also begin to expect, demand, and then a kind of a sense of lack becomes their constant companion. कि वहां से fulfill होगा, वहां से fulfill होगा. But as they are just full and whole among within themselves. And I think that's the best place where we can actually grow and also spill our beauty out in the world. Spill and share that beauty out in the world.
For
From
the
that,
longest time, it like thank you so much for putting it out there, because for the longest time I felt that is it like am I abnormal for like being happy with my own self? It's like you feel I mean it's normal for a lot of people to feel that you enjoy your own company so much, you are fine with your own self, that it's good if somebody is around, but if it's not, it's okay. I mean,
beautiful, beautiful.
uh, yeah, so yeah, but thank you so much for putting it out there, because it is otherwise most of the times you're sure about it that it's okay, it's normal, but sometimes there is this doubt that is everything all right?
Beautiful. Yes. Yes. One thing which you shared reminds me of something from my own life. So for a very long time, I have been just on my own, very, very content, very, very happy in my own company. Now, this sense of lack or this, what I was sharing, that fusing of self with the other person, this can happen at any point of time in your life.
Yeah, it can catch you off guard
It
completely.
is absolutely off guard is the right word. Yes, yes, it can catch you off guard. So this has happened with me, that for a very long time I was absolutely very content, fulfilled with my own self, and did not need any particular company. If company is there, okay. If company is not there, okay. But I would say that I was caught off guard, and one never knows when it happens, how it happens. It's completely a different unfolding for each one of us in their own lives. And the moment you join with the other person, become so intimate with the other person or a life situation or anything, it could be just anything. And now you have to almost because you can never find fulfillment in the other person. This is
Yeah.
something which is not going to happen anytime. But
That's
a hope arises.
yeah.
A hope arises that now this will give me fulfillment. So from a person, you were living as a whole individual. Nothing was wrong really in your being. You found something really beautiful. You joined with that beauty. Now, the moment you go away from that beauty, you feel a sense of lack.
Yeah.
So now I have to rediscover myself. Now a new rediscovery has to happen.
Yeah, and it's like once you're okay about it. I mean, it's like the divine universe, whatever you call it, it's like first it will throw you in deep waters, and then once you start swimming, it will again throw you in deep waters just to like, I don't know. It's beautiful. It's like you want to laugh and cry at the same time.
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. Laugh and cry at the same time. Because you also see how much progress it gives you, how much learning it gives you. Yeah. Yes. Yes, sure. Aishwarya. Thank you for joining. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone, anything to share? Anyone else? Shweta or Ashpriya or Mohita? Yeah. Whoever wants to share anything.
Just listening, Monica, enjoying it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you also like to have, you know, I mean, that drama at times, that, अच्छा, मतलब, the fact that अगर आ रहा है तो drama, तो क्यों नहीं drama? This is a trap, I think. A lot of times we want that, अच्छा ठीक है, and somewhere, I think everyone else also is in that drama. So you also feel that I am like, why am I not part of that drama as well? If this is a reality, just like everything else that the world is currently, a lot of people are there in that drama. Why not me? Although, I think after a lot of experiences, we kind of understand that this drama will bring pain, will bring suffering, will bring, will not really be that fulfilling experience. Yet we want that drama.
There is this
This is,
attraction to this drama.
ha.
And in Savitri, there is one line on this drama. There is one line that, so first of all, there is nothing, no chance happening. I think Sri Aurobindo makes it very, very clear that there is a meaning in each curve and line. So why I get attracted to that drama has also a purpose. Because there is something for me to learn. Otherwise, I would not get attracted, because you would see that imagine that there are 10 different dramas in your life. You would not get attracted to all the 10 dramas. You would get attracted to only 1, 2, or 3 maybe dramas, because there is something for me to learn there. But that I only realize in retrospect.
I think that is a good way, like, you were discussing. I think someone else also did mention that if we can, if we can not judge that particular thing, कि ये क्यों हो रहा है, मतलब पता तो चल, I know that कभी ना कभी आ जाएगा, reason भी समझ में आ जाएगा. But जब हो रहा है तब, let it happen.
Absolutely. Because at the same time when the drama is happening, the mind is also judging parallelly. ये अच्छा हो रहा है, ये गंदी चीज है, and what will people think about me? So all that is also going on parallelly. Yeah. Many things are going on parallelly. Yeah.
And to be honest, the power, the discussion which was happening about power, right? That I feel empowered when I know that I am enough. I think this power has also been, a lot of people will tell us that, take the power in your hand, kuch karo in the real sense that they are talking about. Actually, kuch nahi kar sakte. The kuch karo is actually only within. Bahar jitna bhi, whatever we do, kuch karo as in, either you go discuss, or either you, whatever, leave, or do this, do that. Jitna bhi kuch karo, that will never be enough.
Very interesting. Yeah. And yet we, if I look back at my experiences, I would say that I tried my best to do. तो जो कुछ करो की आप बात कर रहे हो ना, I tried my best to save myself. But I realized that it's only when I stopped saving myself.
So true.
Something happened.
Yeah. And everyone wants to, whoever loves you will say that, protect yourself from that. Yeah, protection. If we are actually in the, if we really think about it, all losses are actually linked to death. But that is inevitable, just like any other loss.
Beautiful. I think this would also connect with what Mohita was sharing earlier, the sense of fearlessness that comes in the being, or a sense of deathlessness that comes in the being, even for a glimpse. And Mother has actually pointed out that the moment your psychic is in front, in that very moment, this sense of immortality, that you have been here forever and nothing can actually harm you, touch you, that is an indicator of your, in that moment at least, the psychic is forward, the soul is forward.
That is such a very, it's not very common to really be in that state.
Yeah,
Otherwise we are so busy with in our other emotions or in the other drama.
absolutely. I think slowly what happens, Ashpriya, is you would also, please share if anything. Slowly what happens is that we slowly, we, the dramas that we have tasted, at least, slowly we get, kind of, we lose the attraction for it.
Hmm,
Now, it
hmm,
may happen that after a few years, I may get into another drama of another sort, and maybe another learning there.
hmm,
But
hmm,
slowly, through our own experiences, as we go through enough of dramas,
hmm, hmm,
we lose the taste for it.
hmm, hmm.
We realize that कुछ नहीं पड़ा वहां पे, वो जितना
Yeah.
अट्रैक्टिव दिखता है वो इतना है नहीं. कुछ और, माजरा कुछ और ही है, दाल में कुछ काला है. Yeah.
My learning and experiences have been at a different level. So मतलब ड्रामा तो नहीं है, मतलब खुद के लाइफ में नहीं है since the longest time, but my suffering comes from dramas in other people's lives. So like वो उसका मतलब it's a very different angle if you see. मतलब like काफी attachments जो है childhood से, उनके लाइफ के ड्रामा में मैं इतना ज्यादा दैट सेवियर सिंड्रोम ना, तो वो कि पता है खुद आई मीन नेचुरली बाय डिफॉल्ट ये पता है कि लाइक व्हाट कैन यू डू एंड इट्स एवरीबॉडीज जर्नी एंड ऑल, एंड येट एट सम पॉइंट एट सम लेवल you just want things to be sorted for them so much कि that is your pain. मतलब आपकी डायरेक्ट तो कुछ ड्रामा है ही नहीं, लेकिन तो ये भी एक है. आई थिंक दीज आर वेज दैट गॉड जस्ट शोज this is where you have to yet do the work, but see how different it is. Like I understand like I me perspective, but it is not I me perspective, and yet there is suffering. Matlab, obviously it comes to that only ki, but that savior syndrome, that is your learning thing. So it's
No, I can relate to this as well. It's like you are never the catalyst of any drama in your own life, neither for others. But it's like somebody else initiates a drama and then you find yourself being a part of it, and it kind of just drives you nuts sometimes. That I mean, everything would have been just sorted and normal, and I mean, why the hell this drama just happened?
मोहिता मेरे साथ ना मतलब वो भी नहीं है. मैं मतलब आई डोंट गो नट्स एंड लाइक आई डोंट गेट इनटू द ड्रामा आल्सो, बट सिटिंग हियर आई कीप feeling, oh god, God sort them, God sort them, God sort them.
Same here.
That is the drama. Matlab, yeah. So I get into a different space here in like, so I don't know. That is where again relationship healing that I am now going through, like understanding, which yeah, it, it's a journey.
It is indeed.
Yeah. The biggest helper and the biggest problem that we have been given is thought.
Yeah.
That for example, if something is happening with my family, I cannot help but think. This is the biggest problem. Also, this is a helper also, just like Sri Aurobindo says, desire is the helper, desire is the bar, ego is the helper, ego is the bar. So we use a tool which is a thought. Thought is a tool, mind is an instrument, something which we can use. I think slowly we also learn through our experiences when to use it, when not to use it. So and that's where the point of silencing the mind comes into picture, because if I am actually pulled into something a bit distance from me, what you were sharing, Shweta, and it is not possible that without thinking about it I am pulled into it, है ना. तो यहाँ पे इतनी पावरफुल है ये वाली जो चीज है, to silence your mind absolutely, to almost become numb when it comes to thought.
Yeah. वही मैं भी सुन रही थी, likes and preferences, and like yes, after all it comes to that कि you do have you know like आपके opinions है ना कि अरे इनको क्यों नहीं समझ आ रहा, मतलब आपको खुद से नहीं engage करना है, लेकिन अंदर तो आप सोच रहे हो, thoughts, after all thoughts only ना कि अरे why are they not getting it, why are they
बिल्कुल.
not, yeah, so you have the wisdom ki nahi, you can't help it, it's their journey, and
Bilkul.
yet there is this gap you have to
Yeah.
travel, because you know you
Yeah.
still don't get it.
Yeah.
You get it and yet you don't get it, so that is where your work is. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is where the work is. And the work is, I would say, not really intellectual. This work is visceral. It's a bodily work. In my body, practically, you know, with my breath, working with my breath, working with myself, I have to know myself as that pure consciousness, which is aware of everything and not the content of awareness.
Absolutely. I was listening to Rupert Spira,
Yeah.
and he said, you know, you have to watch, like, you know, how a mother watches a child in the park. Like, she's always keeping an eye, but you know, it is that benevolent look that, you know, like, okay, jo bhi hoga, you know, like you have to just watch, you know, with that benevolent awareness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. और आप देखोगे कि even if you do it, you know, I think this has to be practiced first because we are not used to it. So it has to first be practiced. For example, say 10 minutes of the day, you know, 15 minutes of a day. I just practice being consciously that presence of awareness, which just is aware of thought, is aware of feeling, and not in that 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm not getting lost in the thought, feeling, or sensation. And slowly it becomes my nature. उसके बिना ना सफरिंग का ना कोई इलाज नहीं है. And why कोई इलाज नहीं है? Because that is our true nature. It cannot be that being away from my true nature, not knowingly knowing myself as my true nature, I still enjoy the life. It is not possible. Suffering will come. So getting identified with thoughts, getting identified with feelings, getting identified with the happenings of life, if that continues, it is not possible that I remain not a sufferer. So I think it's almost again and again becomes an urgency to get united with our true nature, knowingly. And in that, mother, you know, जो mother 11 steps बताती हैं in order to walk towards the soul or the psychic being, उसमें एक first step यही है that the mind can never know why what is happening, why this should happen. Just like, you know, you were trying to make sense of what is happening with the family, for example. The mind can never ever really know the larger picture.
Absolutely. This
So
is
you
what,
come at rest. You come at rest. जब सोचने का कोई फायदा ही नहीं तो सोचो क्यों?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल यही हो रहा है, मतलब you know
Yeah.
बार बार I'm coming to that only.
Yeah.
And from everywhere the same message, you know, like even if I say, like, you know, the universe is helping, when you understand that, you get that from everywhere. So yeah, so
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
in the process.
Yeah. And I think body is next session. I would like to, I had prepared a poster, but I didn't put it forward this time. The body never lies. So when you are truly in connect, knowingly as that awareness, you're knowing yourself as that awareness, look at how the body tells you. The body tells. And when the body is lived by the ego consciousness, that also is told. You get stomach ache, you get migraine, you get burning in the, you know, the chest, you get a backache. The body tells. The body tells that I am being lived by the ego consciousness.
Beautiful.
And when we are actually in, even for those 5 minutes, I am knowingly there as that awareness. Your breathing changes. You notice your breathing changes. The whole body as if it becomes something different, relaxed, relieved, away from the grip of ego. But this has to be, you know, again experimented again and again.
Yeah, because see, it is so you know, multi-leveled.
Multi-level.
Because एक तो ये खुद का awareness, and like you said, you know, your aura is fused with so many, for like, you know, like काफी time से when you were not aware, it's been fused in your ignorance. So now,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Hmm.
so wo fusion pe work karna hi, like you start from somewhere, you understand it, you get it, and but yeah, it is a journey.
Bilkul, bilkul. And I think, just a second. And I think what I was also thinking is that, देखो, अगर मैं in my ignorance I have gotten fused at 10 different places. Now sorting 10 different places is a very, very detour kind of a process. Like it would take extensive amount of energy, drainage, and also a lot of struggle. The other path, which is a shorter path, the divine path, or what Mohita was saying, the path of surrender, is opening only to the divine.
Yeah.
Because there we first get in touch with the wholeness, and then the other parts take their own time to heal. So I think this is also a beautiful path that has been given to us, that you open yourself wholly to the divine or to the universe in the present and now, and then whatever has to be healed will gradually, itself be healed. Yeah, so starting from that wholeness within, gripping that wholeness within, getting in touch with that beauty and wholeness, and with wholeness comes beauty. We recognize more and more beauty, more and more depth and fearlessness in life, and that expands, as you were saying. It spills
It's
out.
also like initially, I think before 2 or 3 sessions, you had made us do this exercise wherein you had shown us that, like multiple of yourselves are like standing behind you, and, so it's like a part of you knows that you are in pain, but a part of you knows that, it has been sent because you have to learn some lessons. So it's always like the awareness is always there and it keeps telling you that, it's for your own good.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. और आप देखोगे कि आप अगर शांति से 5 मिनट लेके कोई भी अपना प्रेजेंट चैलेंज उठा लो, or if you actually give only 2-3 minutes to it, you will exactly know, without the help of any other guide, why this challenge is here, right there in my life.
Yeah.
If you're honest, you will know the answer.
Definitely.
Yeah. It comes, the answer just comes. We know, something in us knows why the challenge is there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, anything more? Anyone winding up?
Nothing. I think we keep forgetting this fact that, we go back to that feeling of wholeness, and again we go back to that.
Yeah, we like a pendulum,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
You-
that's our process.
Yeah, but also that, it becomes lesser and lesser, definitely.
Yeah.
Like if I look back 10 years ago and now, I can see, like, so much work is done. And but yet there is, these very sticky parts, like you say, na? Like, but aapko pata hai, this works. You've come a long way. But wo jo sticky parts hai, wo थोड़ा सा stubborn है, तो वो पता है वो, but you are aware, and वो अभी the gaps are less there and more here, like
Yeah.
वो भी shifts you can see.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a journey.
Yeah.
Actually,
Dag,
pain.
Yes, Aspriya, please share.
I think in pain you kind of really remember, but when lot of things are, which are, otherwise quote unquote happy or exciting, then you forget. Then वो भूल जाते हो.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's why masters and mystics have said कि भैया हमको तो pain में ही
तो
रखो.
pain ही दो.
वहीं पे याद रहता है.
And then that void again comes back कि यार हो क्या रहा है, तो अब तो सब सही हो रहा है, क्यों फिर भी void है?
Yeah.
Actually, I've seen if we are much more conscious and whole, we feel that whole when we are in that pain.
Absolutely, I would resonate with that.
Yeah, and sometimes the presence and the company also matters. Like such
Huh.
sessions, and like I have seen a huge acceleration in my feeling of release in last 3-4 months. Huge. I mean, everything I knew, everything last 10 years, it's all there. But वो pace जो है ना, that I feel it has
Yes.
taken and
Yeah.
taken. अभी वो बहुत बढ़ गया है. Just by being in such sessions, and just this energy, collective energy, that has an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we get, I mean, we have to live in the world. We cannot just not live in the world,
Mm.
and we get scattered, like ourselves, I can see that happening. And then that's why I kind of remind myself, because it's so difficult. It's so
Mhm.
easy to forget, actually difficult to remember.
Absolutely. See, we are born in forgetfulness.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mother says that when the soul falls into, see, she uses this term, almost fall from
Hmm.
the heavens, or the realms
Hmm.
where it's okay. When it falls into matter in the physical form, it has an amnesia. Memory kho
Hmm.
jati hai. So,
Hmm.
and the amnesia is for a purpose.
Hmm.
If I remember all the previous lives I have lived,
Hmm.
my mind will be boggled, what murders I have done, or what, crimes I have committed. Because the soul wants to experience everything.
Hmm.
So I have experienced everything. The people who I say, अरे ये सुधरते क्यों नहीं है? वो सारे मैं रह चुकी हूँ.
बिल्कुल.
So, but and that's why forgetfulness is there. And that's why the importance of remembrance. Remembrance of who I truly am.
Truly, yeah.
Since I am born in forgetfulness. Sumiran.
Yeah. And that, like also ki, why don't you trust their journey? They will also have that remembrance. So,
Yeah.
wo bhi to hai na? And
Yeah.
like I read this beautiful quote by Nitya Shanti, Nitya Shanti. So this, like, just yesterday or day before yesterday, I would like to read. Like, he says, I have a simple priority: no more unconscious living, no more unconscious dying. Let there be no more unconscious births for me and for all those connected with me in any way. Let there be only truth, beauty, power, grace, and complete magnificence. And so it is, Tathastu. It's so beautiful, no? Like, yeah, very beautiful.
I think the intensity of prayer also rises only when we, in our own efforts, become futile. कि अब आप नहीं कर पा रहे, आपके करे कुछ नहीं. Only in those situations the prayer really has a true intensity. Otherwise,
And
our
that,
prayers are very shallow.
yeah, and that, I think that prayer really happens when we are in pain. नहीं तो सब कुछ इतना अच्छा हो रहा है, तब लगता है कि अच्छा
नहीं
ठीक
होता
है.
है, तब वो intensity नहीं
हाँ,
होती.
नहीं आता है.
नहीं आता है. And mother also shares that if you are suffering, she has a beautiful passage that if you are suffering, if you are in pain, use that as a dagger to go within. Use that intensity as a dagger to go within, and then you have actually utilized that phase that came to you.
Yeah. We all have, I think, gone through that. Only pain, see, to all those, like awakening and, what the wisdom has come only through pain. Yeah, at every phase. Yeah.
Beautiful. Great.
Nice
So,
session, Monica.
yeah, beautiful session. Thank you everyone for sharing and reflecting.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.